I just watched so many Booktube Newbie Tags. I'm so intimidated now. That was a bad idea. Hello, my name is Jessica. This is my first video for YouTube, for Booktube specifically. I just decided that my first video would be a Booktube Newbie Tag, just so that, you know, people can get to know me better. It was kind of intimidating thinking about like what I want to film. Do I want to just like jump into talking about books or jump into what I'm reading? I feel like that had been awkward. So I feel like I just wanted to do a Booktube Newbie Tag so that when you're clicking on this video you obviously know that I'm a newbie. Anyways, I guess I'll just get into the questions. Maybe at the end. I haven't really read the questions. I found this on the blog Breathe and Read if you're curious. Maybe at the end I will talk about like what is currently on my like TBR shelf, or like the side of my shelf that has all the books that I own and haven't read yet. Maybe I'll talk about like a couple or what I'm reading right now. But anywho, the first question is, why did you start this channel? If you're watching this, I obviously decided not to chicken out and upload this, but I tried to do a book blog so that people like wouldn't have to see my face and I wouldn't have to like try and get over this weird, intimidating thing that is YouTube or filming yourself. But I was just really bad at keeping up with it. I love reading. I kind of hate writing, which I feel like is not the usual situation. But the whole taking like book photos and trying to make it aesthetically pleasing, I don't know. It wasn't for me, to be honest. I did like 2 posts, came up with a bunch of ideas for future posts, never did them, never got around to it. And then I wanted to just be on Booktube or be part of a community that talks about books, because I'm sure you've heard this in 1,000 other Booktube Newbie Tags, but I just realized I haven't been looking at the camera this entire time. I've been looking at myself because I'm recording on an iPhone. I just want to be a part of a community that talks about books, because I'm sure you've heard about this in like 1,000 other Booktube Newbie Tags, but a lot of people just don't read anymore. It's been really hard. Like, I mean, not it's been really hard, but it kind of sucks not having anyone to talk to about books. It kind of sucks like reading a book and having so many thoughts and so much to say and then not having anyone to talk to about it. Or you go on YouTube and it's a book that a lot of people haven't talked about, or a lot of people don't have the same opinions as you on it. So I wanted to start a Booktube because I would like to have a community to be a part of. I'd like to have an outlet to talk about my feelings about the books I read. And the whole blogging, typing reviews thing just didn't work for me. I want it to be relaxed. I want it to be chill. I don't want it to be like I need to learn how to write book reviews and like requests from authors. Like, I'm just here to talk about the books that I read. So yeah, that's a very long reason for number 1. Number 2. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? I mean, I don't know. I'm not really looking to like bring things to Booktube or be the next like Emma Books or something. I'm just here to talk. I feel like I can bring different tastes, because let me just say, after like watching so many Booktube videos and realizing that there are certain books that are hyped, and then realizing I usually don't like those books, but it builds up so much hype that I want to read them and I put everything down to read them and I don't like them, I just became frustrated that I can't find any booktubers that have the same reading taste as me. I'm not on like the YA hype train most of the time. Sometimes I am if it like really sounds interesting, but I read a wide range of books. Such an intimidating question. It's like an elevator pitch question. I hate that. What are you most excited for about this new channel? I'm kind of just excited to be creative. I'm excited to like get my thoughts out about books. I'm excited to possibly share opinions with other people. I'm excited to like know people that read. I don't know people that read ever. I don't know. I guess I'm just excited to start something, try something new. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm mostly scared, so that's an odd question. Why do you love reading? I love reading for the experiences that you can gather from reading without, you know, living them yourself. I love storytelling, whether it's books or like family stories or childhood stories. I love stories. I love reading for stories. I love reading for the escapism. It really helps when I'm stressed. It really helps when I'm depressed. I just feel like I pick up so much information, so much knowledge, so much culture from reading. Mostly the escapism, mostly for gaining experiences I wouldn't normally have. Or hearing from the perspectives of people I don't know, like in my own life. What book or series got you into reading? Okay, so I read a lot when I was a kid, but I was one of those people that stopped reading for a long time. I didn't pick up reading again until college. I was just so preoccupied with video games, social life, cell phones, all this new technology when I was a kid. And I was like, books, who wants books? But I used to read, like, I used to devour books. But in college, it was my junior year, and I discovered Booktube, and I was like, what is this? A really hyped book at the time was A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I went to Barnes & Noble, I bought A Court of Thorns and Roses. This was about 2 years ago. And then while I was there, I picked up in the same trip, I picked up Truth Witch, which I think was a really hyped book on Booktube. And I picked up Strange the Dreamer. And I read this 2 years ago. So definitely this is what got me back into reading. Or no, this is what made me go to the store, because I hadn't been to a bookstore. I hadn't cared about buying books in so long. This is what made me actually go to the stores, because I had to pick this up. It sounded so interesting. It was pitched as a Beauty and the Beast retelling back in the day, which I don't think anyone calls it that anymore. But I didn't read this first. I actually, when I came home, started Strange the Dreamer, and this is what made me start reading again, because this book was so good. I was so surprised going on Booktube. I couldn't find anyone that was reading it. When was this published? I'm wondering if I read it when it first came out. 2017. Yeah, I read this when it first came out. Okay, so I couldn't find anyone on Booktube that was talking about this. I didn't find anyone talking about this until Muse of Nightmares came out. But I'm still obsessed with this. Like, I've read it 2 times in the past 2 years. This is what got me back into reading, because I was so drawn into this. I realized I love books about books. I don't know, something in this like really got me. So then I just started devouring books. But I never read Truth Witch. RIP. I ended up getting rid of it because I just like, I'm never gonna pick this up. But yeah, Sarah J. Maas got me to go to the bookstore. Laini Taylor's Strange the Dreamer. That made me start reading like immediately. Number 6 is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? You know what? I feel like I would ask my favorite booktubers. This is a copycat. I'm totally stealing this question from another book vlog, I think is his channel title. His name is Rick. One of my faves. he answered this with like the perfect answer. What popular book or much loved book do you hate or can't stand or you're not a fan of? And then what unpopular book that a lot of people don't like or that a lot of people haven't read do you love? I don't know. I just like unpopular opinions. I like to stay away from like, I don't know. It tells a lot about a person if they have their own opinions about books, like away from everyone else's opinions, because you don't find that a lot. I used to think I was crazy for not liking books that were hyped on YouTube. I don't know. I feel like it's cool to have unpopular opinions. It's cool to have your own opinions, and it's really cool. It's really telling to know people's unpopular opinions. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Definitely being consistent. I've fallen into like a pretty good pattern with my reading. I've figured out how to balance it with my school, because I'm currently a senior in college, full time. So I've found a way to balance it for now. Who knows if that'll change. Definitely uploading, editing, being consistent with it is going to be hard for me, because I know, you know, sometimes things get in the way. Sometimes things are going to be prioritized probably over recording a video, which I hope doesn't happen. I don't know. It's definitely going to be consistent. It's going to be, the hardest part is holding myself to it, getting over the fear of uploading, getting over the fear of putting myself on the internet. Not making excuses for why not to do it. I don't know. The hardest part probably uploading this video. When did you start reading? Oh, I kind of already answered this. I read a lot as a kid. I learned to read pretty early. I always loved books. It was kind of my thing. I think it was like my 5th grade year that I stopped reading books. It really wasn't the cool thing to do. The cool thing to do was to play video games, hang out with people. Kind of just followed the movement on that one, but I picked up books again my 3rd year of college when I was about 20. Yeah, 20. Where do you read? I read in bed. I 100% read in bed all the time. That's why I like paperbacks. I'm not a huge fan of hardbacks because they're really hard to read in bed. I like having a paperback that I can just like hold up with one hand. Yeah, I don't think I ever read anywhere but my bed. I don't ever really go out in public to read. I'm easily distracted by noises and conversations. I'm an eavesdropper. Like, I'm the biggest eavesdropper ever. Unintentionally. So if I go to a library to read, or if I go to a coffee shop, I'm just constantly listening to people talk around me. Like, I can't do it. I just stay in bed, under my blanket, with my pillows. Sometimes, like one time before, I've gone out to the living room and sat like in natural lighting. But I don't know. I have to be like reclined. That was weird. I have to be reclined in order to, you know, be comfortable. Doesn't strain my back or my eyes or anything. The last one is, what kind of books do you like to read? Which is a hard question because I don't like just like one kind of books. Like I said earlier, if it sounds interesting, if I read a synopsis or I hear someone talking about it and they're really passionate about it, or if the synopsis sounds interesting, I will pick it up. Like, for example, one of my favorite authors is Marcus Zuzak. I was watching YouTube videos about books that Marcus Zuzak thinks are important, or it was like a tag, but it was like an interview with the author, and he mentioned a certain translation of the Odyssey by Homer, and I immediately bought it because I'd never read the Odyssey, which is something I want to check off my list, and he said it's a really good translation. It's like really accessible, really easy to understand, and I was like, bought it. So I love mythology, Greek mythology, so far, because I haven't really touched other kinds of mythology. I love fantasy. Lately I've really been liking adult contemporary, really hard-hitting books. Sometimes I'll fuck around with like a YA fantasy, but I feel like I'm just too old for them. They're not very relatable anymore. I did like the last YA fantasy I read, which was Daughter of Smoke and Bone, also by Laini Taylor. So I don't know if I liked the genre or if I just liked it because it was Laini Taylor. So like I was biased anyways. I love graphic novels. I don't really fuck with manga. Like I haven't been really able to get into it. I barely was able to get into graphic novels because I just love like lyrical writing. I love lots of details. I like to know every little thing, what they're thinking, why, where they're at. So it was hard for me to get into graphic novels because sometimes you do have to rely on the pictures for that information, and I was just like speeding through it and I wasn't getting as much from it as I could. But I'd have to say my top 2 right now are epic fantasies and adult contemporary, like hard-hitting contemporary, like fuck me up, I want to cry contemporary. I'm not a huge fan of YA contemporary. I feel like I should have picked that up when I was in that age range and when I could have really related to it, like when I was emo, but that's where I'm at right now. Oh, I also love historical fiction. I love me a good World War II book. I don't know why. I don't even know that much about World War II, but like I'm low-key obsessed. I have like way too many World War II historical fiction books. I mean, yeah. So like speaking of my favorite books, I guess I'll go through my bookshelves. I guess I'll show you. Hold on. Okay, so basically my bookshelf is a little beginner baby bookshelf because what I used to do is, wow, cool. What I used to do is I resell a lot of books, not collect books. I didn't want to hoard books. I didn't have room. I didn't have a bookshelf. So when I was done with a book, if I didn't like it, if it wasn't my absolute favorite thing, if there wasn't a reason to keep it, I would resell it. So I'm starting to like build up a collection again. I still don't really keep books if I don't love them because I think it's kind of wasteful. But this side of my bookshelf are books I've read. It's very small. I have most of my bookshelves I keep like digitally on Booktube. But, I mean, not Booktube. I keep them digitally on Goodreads. So I can always reference them that way and I don't have like a massive collection of books. For various reasons that I won't talk about right now. But like, this is my shelves of books I own that I have not read. And the 2 books that I am reading now or picking up very, very soon is The Goldfinch. I've had this book for forever. It's been on my radar for forever. I found it at a thrift store in like perfect condition with the dust jacket. And I'm just now getting to it. I'm still super intimidated when I go to pick it up. And then the other book is, sorry, none of these have dust jackets on them right now. Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Mylan James. So, speaking of my favorite kinds of books, I'm reading a fantasy, which I think is going to be pretty high fantasy, I don't know. And then, I think you would consider this an adult contemporary. I'll find out, but yeah, I think that is it. I think that about covers it. Those are the 10 tag questions for Booktube Newbie Tag. I'm gonna figure out how to edit this because I have way too much stuff in here that is embarrassing or weird. Too soon. It's too soon to show you that. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. Your precious time that you could have been reading. And hopefully I upload again and hopefully you're here to see it. That would be cool. Goodbye.